Hi, everybody. Well, here we are back again with another episode of the Health and Wealth Women's series. And I'm excited to have my co-host back with me today. Megan, how you doing over there?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Good.
So
It is good to be back.
we are going to talk about something that nobody wants to really be talking about. It's almost like that, what do they call it? Like the 800-pound gorilla in the room or elephant in the room or whatever it is that you want to call it. We're going to talk about inflation today. And Megan and I were talking right before the show started, and we're going to be traveling for Thanksgiving. So we did our Thanksgiving this past weekend, and just going out to the store and even places like Costco, Kroger. I don't know where you're going to be listening from when you're watching this, but not only are things scarce, but the change in the pricing on certain items. Like I almost had a meltdown because I couldn't find cranberry sauce. And if you're anything like me, cranberry sauce is a staple or Thanksgiving doesn't happen. So I literally had to go to 3 different markets before I could find it. So just and then I bought 6 cans. I'm just sharing that with you. So not only and it was a little more expensive than it normally is. So today I'm going to hand it off to Megan because Megan has done a lot of research in this space, and she has an incredible show prepared. And I'm going to chime in here and there, but Megan, why don't you take it away and talk to us about inflation?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was sad not to be on last week, but Jennifer did a great job, and her co-host there on long-term care. So happy to be back. And, yeah, inflation is something that we've really taken a lot of time to kind of get into the nitty-gritty of here at core, because we see a lot of clients, nervous about the topic and just having a lot of questions about it. So recently we actually hosted a webinar, or our head actuary did, and it really got me thinking. And I just think it's such an important topic right now as increases in goods and services continue to rise. I mean, we all generally, we get the idea that things get more expensive over time. But we really need to kind of understand what causes it. Public spending, hoarding, tax reductions, price rising in international markets are all causes of inflation. And these factors ultimately lead to rising prices. Inflation is an overall general increase in the prices of goods and services in an economy. And it's important to understand that it's not just a change in the price of a particular industry, but at its root, inflation is typically caused by the rising of costs of goods and services. And there's 3 different factors that kind of cause inflation, and ones that you as well as I have been, seeing these last few months. It's just insane right now that, what we've been going through. But demand pull inflation is one cause, and that's when the demand for, goods and services within our economy outweighs the economy's ability to produce those goods and services. So as Jennifer said, you can go to a grocery store now and you're seeing, nothing, the shelves are empty. I mean, it's crazy. During COVID, I'd go for, as you all probably did, toilet paper or paper towel, there's nothing left. It's insane. But also cost push inflation, which is when an increase in the cost of the production of goods and services increases prices, and then built-in inflation. So when workers expect their salaries or their wages to increase when the prices of these goods and services increase to help maintain their, cost of living. So we've seen all of 3 of these things becoming a major factor in today's society. And, for example, Jennifer had mentioned going to the store. I mean, you think about specifically relating back to the cost push inflation, industrial supplies that are imported to the US right now have increased substantially. Papers, metals, the building materials that we need, it's impacting thousands of finished products. And I ran into this, recently. I'm actually taking my car in this week. I need to get it fixed. And ultimately, I'm probably going to need a new headlight and potentially bumper on the front of my car. And I don't even want to know how long I'm going to have to wait to get it done or how long it's going to take to get those parts in. I'm like terrified to go in on Friday and drop it off because I don't know when I'm going to see it again. But you know, it's just things that we've all been seeing and feeling, I think, in our daily lives. And it's important to understand that, you know, it's happening to all of us. The government actually publishes a CPI, or a consumer price index, to quantify an overall average for the last few decades, and that's been between 2 to 3%. But recently, inflation has pushed to 5 to 6%. So things are getting significantly more expensive, and it's happening very quickly. You know, as I mentioned, we're all seeing and feeling that, whether it's name item foods when we're grocery shopping or when we're filling our tank with gas. Everything's gotten, you know, a lot more expensive in our daily lives. And in the short run, we're able to adapt and adjust to these different changes. You know, when I'm going to the store, instead of buying that name brand chicken or fruit, whatever I'm buying, maybe I'm, you know, finding a supplement there. Or, you know, when getting gas, you know, for me, I see that change in the cost of gas and how much more expensive it is now. Luckily, I have a smaller car. I don't drive as often. So, you know, when I'm filling it up, that, you know, $35 for me to fill it isn't affecting me maybe as much as my dad, who has a huge truck and it's costing him $75, $80 to fill, you know, his tank of gas. So it's, you know, it's crazy to see that difference and how fast that's changing. And again, we can all kind of adjust and adapt to these things. But if you think about it, something else I kind of want to get into a little briefly is, for retirees, a higher concentration of their expenses is not adjustable. So, you know, things like healthcare and energy costs, home, you know, gas in their home. It's, you know, ultimately a compound interest that's working against you. And it's more of something that in the long run, it's going to impact your retirement assets. And that's going to become a concern for many. So, you know, I know a few weeks back, Jennifer and I spoke about annuities, and I'm not going to get too into depth on that or dive too deep into it, but there are annuities out there that have, you know, inflation protection tied to them. So if there's something, you know, maybe you're considering, maybe you're getting close to retirement, maybe 10 years out, or, you know, whatever the case may be, and you want to kind of put some sort of safe, you know, income plan together for when that day comes. Annuities are, you know, going to be a safe way to ensure that you're not going to outlive your money. And your planning horizon is from age, you know, 65 out to, you know, 85, 90. Things become way more expensive over these time horizons, and we've already seen that beginning to change. So with the inflation protection, you're not necessarily matching inflation, because everyone, you know, spends their own money in their own way, but you can directionally offset inflation. So for example, there's, you know, annuities where you might have to give a little to get that inflation protection, but you're usually going to start maybe, I don't know, anywhere 10 to 15% lower than you would in, you know, a guaranteed annuity income stream. However, with a 3 to 5% average growth, you could make that up over the course of a few years. And then the remainder of your 20 to 25 years, you're winning. So just to have kind of that cushion of income stream coming in, you know, as we see inflation becoming such an issue, is definitely a strong foundation to consider, and one where, again, Jennifer would be more than happy to talk with you about that. You know, I'd be happy to put things together for her and you, but it's definitely kind of a good way to maybe offset some of that inflation that we've been seeing happening. So Jennifer, anything else on your end there, or any thoughts on those points? I know that was kind of a lot there, but
No, I'm right there with you. And, you know, back to when you were talking about getting gas and stuff. I mean, look at how there was a gas shortage for a while too, you know, and I don't know when that's going to happen again. And unfortunately, there's certain cars that are out there. Unfortunately, I own one that only takes premium gas. So I don't get the ability to choose, you know what I mean? So if I'm driving around now, I have to keep, my gas tank full. And anytime I go anyplace, if I'm like 3/4 of a tank, I'm filling it up again because I'm trying to watch the inflation on the cost. I'm trying to watch the availability of it. So you start thinking about things that we just take for granted. Every day you just take for granted. And understanding too the use of annuities. Yes, we did talk about it a few weeks back, and it's so important to understand that right now, if inflation is averaging 2 to 3%, averaging, now we're seeing that change significantly. In the next 10 years, we're looking that things are going to be 20 to 40% more expensive than they are now. And if you are at a point where you're going to be retiring in 10, 15, 20 years, or if you want to start maybe partially retiring or starting to do more volunteer work, when you get into retirement and all the planning that I do for clients, you are going to get to a point in your life, whether you use the word retirement or just phasing out or your golden years or whatever it is, because some people say they're never going to retire, so they don't look at it that way. You are going to want to take as much pressure off of your money, really having to perform and take risk as you get older. I don't care what anybody says. So if you have Social Security that's coming in and you have a pension, if you're blessed enough to have a pension, all you are doing essentially is creating another pension for yourself, or another 2 or 3 pensions. I do a lot of annuity laddering, just like people who, had CDs and they would ladder CDs to get different time bands and to get different interest rates. You can do that with annuities. And that's the beauty of having them. Because as you get into your older years, you want to cover your mug. Your mug is your mortgage, your utilities, your gas and transportation. And a lot of those things we're not going to have any control over. I mean, even if you look at how the cost of housing and real estate, you could buy a house. And I mean, I've had clients that have bought houses, when they first got married, and they may have spent $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on the house. They've been in there all this time. Now they're selling it for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. And it's still the same foundation. It's still the same walls. And obviously they've updated it, but it goes to show you how inflation impacts things over your life. So if you're going to be in your retired years and you're going to have a place to live, and no matter, hopefully you're paying it, you're going to have it paid off. But if not, you're going to have to be paying either rent or a mortgage. You're going to have your utilities, unless for some reason you like to just live off the grid, which I don't hear many people doing, but you're going to have to pay for utilities. You're going to have to pay for your transportation. You're going to have to pay for your food. And the 2 most expensive things that are there for people that are aging into retirement are your healthcare costs and really your housing. And you really don't have tremendous amount of control over your healthcare costs. So everything that Megan is saying, it may be resonating, and hopefully it's resonating with you now, but you've got to look into the future on how you're going to address it. And, for the longest time, I didn't have access or didn't have the knowledge of knowing that there were, income or inflation protected annuities. I think they may be more on the newer side of things, because how the financial landscape has changed. These companies are looking at how they have to change things for the people like us that are out there. So I hope you're listening to everything that she's saying, because if you're going to the gas pumps, the grocery store, if you're going to get your hair cut, if you're going to buy clothes, if you're getting ready to shop for the holidays, you are going to realize that it's costing so much more and such limited supply. So hopefully everything that she has said to you, you are listening to, because there are solutions. Wouldn't you agree, Megan? Putting your head in the sand is not going to prepare you for the future.
No, it's not. And that's exactly why I wanted to bring up this topic today and just kind of briefly, do a high level overview of, what it is, what causes it, and how you can be prepared. Today actually marks the largest gap between interest rates and inflation since 1980. So it's, for me, even this is, I'm I was born in 91. This is probably the craziest and most affected I've ever been by inflation. But you know, it's gotten me to really understand, you know what, especially with a baby on the way and all of the things that I'm going to have to start purchasing and have been purchasing, you know, it really kicks in that it's better to be prepared for something like this with some sort of avenue like an annuity or, you know, whatever that might be, just to prepare yourself for the future, and not let it, you know, just kind of come out of nowhere and blindside you. You know, be prepared for something like this. And, you know, it's not, you know, we're going to continue to live through this for a while. So I just think it's really important to, you know, as Jennifer said, you know, mention it to everybody. Hopefully it's resonating, or has been already. You know, we've all seen it and we're all going to continue to live through it. But I just think it's important to have a better understanding of how it works, what causes it, and what we can do to be better prepared.
For sure. And as Megan said, if there's anything that I can do, you know, I work with people, mostly for those of you who follow me know that I focus on working with women that are coming out of any type of transition, whether it's divorce or they've lost their spouse, they're going through a career change, whatever it is, because a lot of times you have to look at the fact that women at some point in their life are going to be completely by themselves to make financial decisions, to make all of that. So our job is to make sure that every area of your life is protected, that you are, you know, you are able to be independent and age gracefully into, you know, your golden years, and to make sure that you have a plan in place. And to have a conversation with me is free, complimentary. We get on the phone, we find out where you need, you know, where you need focus, where you have gaps. We figure that out. Then Megan and I put our heads together and we come back and we provide solutions. And there's solutions that we have looked at and that we know that we've utilized with other clients and in your similar situation. So it's costs you nothing to have a conversation. And if you want to have a conversation with me, you just go out to www.talkwithjennifer.com. It shows you my calendar. It shows you my times that are available. There's really not an excuse for you not to make sure that you're taking care of the things that you need to. And inflation is here to stay, you know, and it's going to continue to get there. It's going to continue to get worse. And as life changes, you're going to have a plan for that. So we wanted to come on and just talk about this. And we hope you've gathered some information from it and pay attention to it as you go out to the supermarket. And Megan, I cannot even begin to tell you, I don't even know what diapers cost now. I mean, my baby is like 21.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't even imagine what the cost difference is going to be now. So
I know. Crazy. I need to prepare myself. I've put plenty of them on my registry. So. Well, they go fast.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. And we will be back to talk to you next time about gratitude. We're coming into Thanksgiving. And I know Megan and I both have a lot of things in our lives to be grateful for. And we are going to be coming on to talk to you about how to find gratitude in the midst of challenging times like we've been going through, and making sure that you're waking up every day and you're being grateful for the things that surround you. So we will be back again soon. And again, if you need us, you know how to find us. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye.